I want to know who taught you shame? Who taught you to be ashamed of what you want because someone did? Someone taught you that wanting specific love is desperate. Someone taught you that wanting big money is arrogant. Someone taught you that wanting a certain body type is vain. Someone taught you that wanting a certain lifestyle is unrealistic. Someone taught you that wanting a specific person, no matter your current circumstances, is completely delusional. Okay, but you did not come into this world ashamed. You learned it. And that very shame, the shame that you probably don't even recognize that you are carrying, is the thing blocking your manifestation. So let's get honest. Where do you genuinely censor yourself? Where do you hesitate before telling your friends about your desire, before sharing what you're manifesting, or maybe even before admitting the kind of love or lifestyle that you actually want and that you're really calling in? Before talking about the person God put on your heart? Where do you shrink because you're so afraid of being judged, mocked, ridiculed, doubted, or misunderstood? Because that very hesitation, that tightness in your chest, that second guessing, that is shame. I know it because I've lived it. I know it because I've coached it. I know it because it is genuinely the silent killer of so many manifestations. You don't need to have my same story to understand this. You genuinely just need to have ever wanted anything that felt bigger than what the people around you could comprehend. So for me, shame showed up in 1,000 ways, in who I loved and what cultures I connected to, and being mixed and not fitting into one particular box, and being a woman and wanting emotional depth, and being spiritual in a world that wanted logic, and having these big, big dreams without having big, big evidence, and being a coach while still healing and going through the processes of my own heart. But what I noticed is every single piece of shame that I've carried was programmed. It was not divine, it was not truth, it was not from God. And you have your own version of this too, because maybe your shame comes from religion, maybe from being the eldest sibling, or maybe from being the black sheep, maybe from being mixed or whatever race you are, maybe from your body type, maybe from your income, maybe from your parents or family's super high expectations, maybe from an ex, or maybe from culture, maybe from trauma, maybe from your friend group, maybe from the internet. Okay. Either way, you have been conditioned to want less than what your soul genuinely cries for. And if you trust God, then you have to understand this. God never used shame as a teaching tool. Humans always did. Because Jesus never punished desire. He never mocked longing. He never shamed love. He never told someone that their dreams were too big or that their current circumstances or current labels were above them. Because the Bible literally says in Isaiah 54:4, do not be afraid, you will not be put to shame. And Jesus said, the works I do, you will do also, and greater, when you look at John 14:12. So, who lied to you? Because your desire is holy. Your longing is ancestral and your dreams are encoded. Your soul remembers what it's meant for. And the only thing blocking you from receiving is the shame attached to wanting. And shame is very, very sneaky, okay? It doesn't always sound like, oh my gosh, I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed. It sounds like, what will people genuinely think? Am I delusional? Maybe I should want something more realistic. Who am I to ask for that? Because shame will make you shrink yourself before anyone else even gets the chance to reject you. And honestly, the part that most people never really talk about is the shame that you feel about your desire and how it did not start with you. It came from projection, someone else's wounds, someone else's worldview, someone else's biases, their fears, or even their own box that they have constructed for themselves. And you agreed with it. And that is the part that truly, truly stings because the only reason another person's opinion ever had any sort of power over you was because a part of your own heart genuinely believed it too. And this is honestly where your breakthrough is going to begin because the part of you that feels resistance, the part of you that wants to lash out, argue, defend yourself, collapse, run, or shut down, that is not your truth. That is your programming fighting for its life. And you genuinely cannot heal shame by pretending it's just not there. You heal shame by bringing it into the light and saying, I know this is not mine. Because I want you to really think about this. Every single time that you restricted yourself, every time you hid, every time you didn't tell your friends the full story, every time you really downplayed what it is that you want, you weren't being humble. You were being conditioned. But I want you to really understand that you were not born unfiltered, unashamed, limitless. So once you recognize, not that you were born, sorry. You were born with unconditional worthiness, okay? Because there is genuinely 4 billion to 1 chances that you even exist. And the universe, God, source, whatever it is you believe in, still said you're meant to be here. So, somewhere along the way, either society, culture, religion, trauma, family, friends, astrology, the attachment theory, these race dynamics, these stereotypes, these systems, these expectations, they all handed you bags that were never yours to carry. And shame is one of those heavy bags that you are allowing to drag you down. And here's what happens the moment you finally put down this baggage that was never yours. So I really want you to be able to conceptualize this and let's make this tangible. So if you need to pause this video, completely fine because you know me, I love my interactive time. So I want to break this down for you in a little bit of steps. So step 1 is the shame's rising. Okay, so you have this tightness in your chest, you have the lump in your throat, you have this urge to hide, run away, the almost kind of like immediate draw to be like, never mind, it's just not that deep. It's the moment that you normally run. But this time you actually stay. You sit with it, you validate it, and you recognize it isn't yours. And you remember, you cannot be offended unless a part of you resonated with what was said. So the shame that is coming up is genuinely just showing you the wound. And that is going to be a huge, huge, huge game changer. It's just sitting with it. Now, step 2 is the anger. And I need you to know that your anger is genuinely, truly holy data. And I used to run from anger because of all the labels it was given, but anger is really clarity in disguise. So if as you're listening, maybe someone's face pops up or a specific memory, after this video, I want you to go to the mirror or your journal or a voice note, whatever you feel, and I want you to let your FU out. Now, this is one of my favorite things to do with myself and clients, and this is where you say all of the things that you just genuinely never let yourself say out loud. Like F you for choosing them, not showing up, F you for letting someone else's opinion ruin what we had. F you for making me feel small, for confusing me, for abandoning me. Okay. And it's not about, sending the text or calling them. It's really just about finally hearing yourself because you're not being dramatic. You're just emptying out all of these emotions and this bottle that you've been carrying up in your chest because it's not a good feeling. And when these specific things start coming up, I really want you to just dump it out. Okay. Because right now, even if some things are coming up, you can even pause and say, I am angry because fill in the blank. Repeat it genuinely until your body softens because this is empowerment. And if it's done with the correct intention, there is no guilt or shame because this is purely for you. Okay. Now, this step for me, I feel like comes up very naturally after the shame recognition alone in the mirror, just letting whatever needs to rise come up with zero judgment and you just allow it to rise. So, however, you need to do that, let out all of your anger and anything attached to that shame because that is where you're going to actually acknowledge all of the things that are holding you down. So then step 3 would be the forgiveness aspect, not this fake spiritual bypass forgiveness where you can pretend it didn't hurt you and you can just really see all the situations and understand that person or those circumstances because this is where the real tender inner child forgiveness really happens. And the first time I did this, it was after I had a really big rage session and I just collapsed on my bed with my hand on my heart and my belly. And I naturally just spoke to myself, I'm so sorry, Bailey. I am so sorry I did not protect you sooner. I'm so sorry I made you hold all of those things alone. I'm so sorry I just kept minimizing your pain. I'm sorry I kept forgiving what was hurting you. I'm so sorry that I just kept saying quiet when you were screaming, but I'm listening now and you are so safe with me. Okay. I naturally had this come up, but I just kind of visualized holding myself, just kissing my forehead and all over myself and comforting me. And I recognize this will look different for everyone because I want you to let it be authentic, let it be organic. You know genuinely what you need. Now, this is also where the Ho'oponopono can be very powerful, where you're going into, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And this is not to excuse anyone's behavior, but to actually unplug your nervous system from this loop that you are trapped in. So then the next step, step 4, is then when you can do the identity shift. Now, this is where you step into the version of you who has always been worthy, always been chosen, always been loved, provided for, even when the 3D didn't show it. Okay. This is where you move from why didn't they choose me to I am the woman who gets chosen by men, by money, by life, by God, by whoever you want. Okay. This is whenever your desperation can finally leave your system and when the neutrality can actually return. Because this is when you still might want the same person, but it's no longer from a please pick me desperate state. It's from I know what I'm worth. And your desire can actually become very clear again. Now, the path is going to actually open for you because the manifestation finally has room to move, and you're not subconsciously gripping onto all of these things that you're unaware of that are actually residing within you. Because most people will skip these steps and they will jump straight into affirming, straight into scripting and visualizing while still carrying all of this shame, all of this anger, all of this unforgiveness, and that is what your old identity is so attached to. Because shame is not your truth, it is your programming. Your desire is your truth. And God already said, you will not be put to shame. So, with this, I want us to go ahead and collectively just tap on this. So, if you can, I want you to place one hand on your heart and one on your belly or your solar plexus. And I want you to just take a deep breath in through your nose, hold, and exhale through your mouth and repeat after me, either in your mind or out loud. And I want you to stay right here. I release every identity that I took on that wasn't mine. I release the shame I inherited. I release the stories that were projected onto me. I release every belief that ever made me minimize what I want. Now, if a specific belief pops up, I want you to name it. I release the belief that, and go ahead and fill it in. And I want you to repeat, I am safe to want what I want. I am safe to receive what I desire because my desire is divine and my path is divine and my timing is divine. I was never meant to shrink. I was meant to remember. Now I want to go ahead and go into tapping. So we're going to start with the eyebrow. All of the shame that I learned so young, all of these boxes that I never chose, this belief that says, and I want you to go ahead and just insert your own belief right here. Okay. This fear of being judged, this fear of wanting what I want, all of this weight that I've carried, all of these projections that I've inherited, I release them back to their source. I am allowed to want what I want. My desire is divine. God did not give me longing just to punish me. My desire is my guidance. My dreams aren't delusional. My dreams are my direction. I am not too much. I am exactly who God made me to be. I step out of shame. I step out of limitation. I step out of smallness. I step out of all of these boxes. I step out of fear. And I step into the identity that God intended for me. The identity who already has desire. The identity that never needed permission. Now, I want you to grab your heart. I am safe to receive. I am safe to want. I am safe to love. I am safe to expand. I am safe in God. And I am safe in myself. And I want you to grab the side of your wrist, hold, and whisper peace. And I want you to just feel your body soften. I want you to feel this charge leave your chest, feel your nervous system finally returning home, because the shame ends here. The identity returns here. The God state activates here. And from this state, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't bargain. You simply receive because you finally remember who you are. So I want you to take this video into consideration and pause and run it back as many times as you need to, because this is a very key step that a lot of people miss. And this is exactly why my clients always get exactly what they want, because these are the core key cues that a lot of people miss, and we want to go straight to the end. And I completely understand, but for some of us and our experiences, our stories, our circumstances, these are very real emotions and wounds that we do need to address first before allowing you to step into the identity. These are the very same things that are genuinely keeping you stuck, keeping you ruminating, and keeping you still searching and grasping breadcrumbs, because you're not being honest about what is actually happening and what you're actually feeling and the identity that you are still fully resonating with. Now, I know this video helped you. I know you had an aha moment, and I hope you watch it as many times as you need to fully grasp this, because I know it's going to allow you to fully receive your manifestation. So until next time, angels.